Right.
Yeah.
Because you would think, that gynecologists know, but
That's what
not
I would think. I'm so surprised they
not
don't have like a lot
necessarily.
of
Yeah,
training in
no.
menopause, postmenopause care.
My background is family medicine, and like I said, I just didn't get enough, training on it. Internal medicine is the same,
Actually,
gynecology
that's
is
a
the
really
same.
good question. What is the difference between the type of care a gynecologist can give you in terms of like your phase of menopause versus an actual certified menopause practitioner like you?
hmm Yeah, so I think that it comes down to if the gynecologist has enough training in menopause.
Okay.
Because like I said, not every gynecologist is going to have training in menopause care. So they might say, "Oh, you can take birth control, or you can take
I hear
these,"
that from a lot of my
right?
clients. They always get
So
prescribed birth
yeah,
control.
yeah, and that's probably not the best option, depending on your symptoms, depending on where your medical history and things like
Yeah.
that. You might not need birth control, right? So it's important to ask the question. I think that if you're having these symptoms, it's better just to try to look for somebody who's certified, because they will have more experience, more training, and you'll get better care.
So a gynecologist is more so to help you through, I would say,
The
your
reproductive years.
reproductive
And I
years.
think it
Okay.
depends on the gynecologist, because there are gynecologists that don't do babies, right? That they don't deliver all
Yeah.
the time. They do more gynecology, and they do have training in menopause, right? But it's not all of them. So it's important,
Okay.
if you're established with a gynecologist, it's important to ask, okay, how comfortable do you feel about
Yeah.
menopause, and that's it, and they can say, they might say
Yes or no.
yes
Yeah.
or no, right? But the truth is that gynecologists are more trained towards taking care of pregnant women,
Of like reproductive age. Okay.
reproductive age,
Makes
right?
sense.
More than the menopause and postmenopausal phase.
Okay. So yeah, if you're definitely, so it sounds like if you're struggling through kind of what you think is your perimenopause phase, gynecologist might be a person to ask, but you really should seek a menopause practitioner or somebody who can guide you, which you can find on the Menopause Society
Correct.
website.
Correct.
Okay. I want to talk about weight gain and holding stubborn weight
Mhm.
during the phases of perimenopause and menopause. A lot of women come to our studio and they're, the first thing they'll tell us is, I feel like I'm getting older and I'm just holding this stubborn belly fat. Why is this happening during perimenopause, menopause? Like, what's causing this?
Yeah.
And is it real? Is it really happening?
No, it's totally real. It's
Okay.
totally real. It's not in your head. First of
Okay,
all,
that's good. Not in your
all
head,
the
guys.
symptoms, all the symptoms that you're feeling in perimenopause and menopause are not in your head. They're
Good.
real. Okay, I just want to put
Doctor
that
said
out there.
it. So
You know,
they are real. They are happening. They're
they're
not in your
real. They're
head.
happening. They're not. If a doctor is telling you they're in your head, you're gonna be fine. No, you have to advocate for yourself and look for somebody who's really gonna listen and who's really going to pay attention to your symptoms, and then who can treat you.
And we will
Right?
list her information in the caption below. She will.
So this is a great question, because this is as you know, we also do medical weight loss, right, or weight
Yeah.
management. So and the reason how we ended up becoming menopause practitioners is because we started doing a lot of weight loss, and a lot of our patients were in premenopause and menopause. Most of our patients.
So your weight loss
You know?
patients were coming to you and they were in
They were
perimenopause.
upset, we can't lose the weight. I'm trying the nutrition, I'm trying the exercise, nothing's happening. This just keeps getting bigger. I feel bad. I don't like it. I don't like how I look in the mirror. All those things, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, we need to know this stuff, So that's when we started, getting into courses, preparing ourselves, studying, reading,
Yeah.
and all these things, until we became, certified in menopause. But so here's what happens. So we have estrogen and progesterone, right, which are very important for reproductive years, but they're very important for metabolism and fat disposition in your body.
So estrogen and progesterone,
And
also
progesterone.
contribute to fat distribution
Yes.
in the body.
Yes.
Okay.
So then what happens is, in perimenopause, and also we have insulin and cortisol.
Yes.
So
we hear those all the
insulin-
time. My
yes.
cortisol is high. I'm feeling
Yes.
straight. Yeah.
So, insulin is the hormone that helps to process carbs. And then
Okay.
also it helps or not with fat distribution as well.
Okay.
And then cortisol is a stress hormone, right? As we know, if your cortisol is high, you're going to be like, your body's going to be saying, you need to hold on to fat way more because you have to run. Your cortisol doesn't know what's causing you to be like all
stressed all the
worried
time.
and stressed all the time. Your body doesn't know that, but the cortisol is the hormone that is going to be like, you have to hold on to every single fat you have because you have to run and have energy for running. So that's how it
Okay.
works, right?
Okay, so we have the estrogen, progesterone, insulin, and cortisol.
Right.
And we're fighting with those 4 elements at the same time.
Exactly. So what's happening is that if your estrogen and your progesterone are changing,
Okay.
if they're going to be low some days, or they're going to be high some days, so then that fat distribution is going to be changing. And you're going to be accumulating more in the midsection and on the back.
Does your cortisol go up because your estrogen and progesterone are changing?
Bingo. So
Okay.
what's going to happen is your cortisol is going to be going up, and your insulin is going to be going up as well.
Okay, so your estrogen and progesterone are changing all the time.
Right.
And so that's causing your cortisol and your insulin to go up because your body's trying to respond to all the changes.
Exactly.
And now everything's just out of whack.
And everything is out of whack.
Okay.
So then it's very hard because, that's why, you need to work out. The food is going to be very important. So, contrast that insulin spike, right? And then obviously cortisol management, like stress, management is going to be very important too, because obviously if our cortisol is high all the time, the more stressed out we are, it's just going to make it worse.
Okay, I have a really good question. A lot of women come to the studio and they'll say, the stuff I used to eat now makes me gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're like, I used to eat so much more when I was younger, or I used to eat all the same things, and now if I eat, a bag of chips, I gain weight, or whatever it is. Is that because their insulin is spiked now? So now they actually, if they eat the same things they did when they were younger, they actually won't be able to manage their weight.
Correct. That could be definitely one of the explanations, but also all the hormones are changing. So, you are not going to be the same as 10 years ago. You're not going to be the same as 5 years ago. Even. Once you hit perimenopause, everything changes. The game changes for you. So
the game changes.
So, the game changes. So, what used to
we didn't even figure out how to play this game. It's a whole other game.
So what used to work for you, it's not going to work now. So
that's true. What
totally
used to work
true.
is not going to work.
It is totally true. We need to change the way we're eating. We need to change the way we're exercising. We need to change the way we see stress. We need to change, the way we sleep. I mean, all these things are super important for hormones.
Okay, let's dig into them. So when we're going through perimenopause, you said we need to change the way we eat, and we need to change the way we exercise, sleep, and manage stress. Let's start with exercise. How do we need to change our exercise? Like, what is important as this starts happening to our body?
So one thing that is very important is all our lives has been about like, you just have to do cardio all the time, right?
Yeah.
You have to be that bunny in the
cardio bunny.
Just go, right?
That's how you run a little bit.
So the issue with cardio is great. Cardio is great for your heart. Cardio is great for, your health, right? But it's not going to be as helpful for your muscle.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be as helpful for your cortisol, right? Because, if you're training, that's kind of putting your body under stress.
So the cardio is going to, if you do too much, will spike your cortisol, which is already spiking.
More. Exactly. Which is already spiking. So it's not going to be that helpful, right?
Okay.
And then, if you don't have a good muscle mass, then you have risk of developing osteoporosis later on.
And also, if you don't have a lot of muscle mass, it slows down your metabolism.
Exactly.
So if you're losing muscle mass and you are now spiking your cortisol and spiking your insulin and all these things, you're creating a place where your metabolism is absolutely going to slow down. It's going to wreck your metabolism. And so that's why probably a lot of people feel like my metabolism slowed down so much as I got older. It's like they lost muscle, cardio isn't doing what it used to do, cortisol's up, insulin is up.
Exactly, right? So the best thing is to focus on the muscle, right? So we have to have a mind shift. And that's what takes time sometimes, because we were educated in cardio for
like
the
cardio,
longest,
lose weight, be thin, and it's like,
and nobody talked to you about you have to be strong.
You have to have muscle,
strong, right? So that's a mind shift that we always have to start with every single patient, first of all, right? Like muscle is very important for you. So muscle meaning weight training, strength training, right? And it can be with weights, it can be at the gym, it can be at home, it can be bands, well, you know that, right? But
we know a little something about that.
Exactly, right? But as you said, right, the muscle mass is going to be super important for the bone, for the metabolism. So the weight that you're losing doesn't come back later on. It's going to be super important for that. And also because the muscle is key for insulin.